Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast and Vinyl Channel, doing another one of my topic videos. This isn't a top 5, this is just a general 5 of some albums that I think are just great front to back, coming right up. One of the big things about the vinyl format that many people like is that, I don't know if force is the right word, but it strongly encourages you to listen to entire albums, where in the digital age, a lot of people will just kind of skip around records, or definitely, like with the invention of CDs, people would listen to more of the lead single and then just go on from there and really revisit just the tracks that they knew. And with vinyl, a lot of people will make sure to listen to the entire record, put it on, and find some treasures that they never would have known existed. I've gone back with a lot of classic albums that I bought, or that I bought in the CD era, and now listen to the records in their entirety myself and been like, holy cow, there's so many more songs on this record that, you know, I didn't even know were amazing, which is a huge benefit to the format. So, having said that, there's a ton of classic records that we all know many people love front to back. Thriller, Led Zeppelin 4, just things like that. So when I do these videos, I try and avoid the obvious right off the bat. I'm sure many of those records will get mentioned throughout the series, like when I do more parts to the series. But for my target on these first videos was just kind of things that not quite off the beaten path, but maybe records that I think more people should listen to the entire record, because I personally think that they just kill front to back. One that I want to share, and I'm going to share 5 in these videos like I usually do, Jack White's second solo album, Lazaretto. This is a stunningly good work of art, in my opinion. Now, I know a lot of people prefer Blunderbuss, his first solo record, and I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine on a regular basis who thinks that Blunderbuss works better as a front-to-back record than this. But for me, this is just a killer record. Now, if you've ever listened to this album or seen it on vinyl or heard about it, there's a lot of, for lack of a better term, Jack White shenanigans going on with this LP. It plays from the inside out. And on top of that, side 2 has a couple of different intros to this first song on side 2. You either get an electric or a acoustic intro, depending on which one you play. None of that is anything I really want to focus on the video. I just wanted to, if you haven't heard this LP, just know that there's a little bit of shenanigans that comes along with purchasing it on vinyl. But the music itself is just killer on here. It kicks in with 3 Women, which is, I think, my favorite Jack White related intro track. The title cut, Lazaretto, Temporary Ground, Would You Fight for My Love, Just One Drink. I mean, Black Bat Licorice, a tongue-tied song's got me tongue-tied. Want and Able, just a killer record from front to back. This is an album I could put on at any point in the day, no matter how I'm feeling, and I will want to hear the entire record front to back easily. That's one that I love front to back that I think is just killer. Another one is the first effort from Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. I think most people turned onto this record because of the lead single, S.O.B. And they've had a couple of different songs from it that were in commercials over the years. So this is one of those records that if you go to play it front to back, you may actually hear a bunch of songs that you've heard clips of in commercials and not known that it was on the rest of the record. But it's just a perfect record. If you've heard S.O.B. and you haven't heard the rest of the record, and I don't say this in an insulting way, S.O.B. is very indicative of the rest of the record. There are a couple of ballads on here, including one of my favorite album enders in the last 10 years, Mellow Out, is on here. But overall, just it's a rockabilly good time through the entire record. Absolutely love it. Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, their first self-titled record together, is a killer album front to back. I'm going to dip into blues a little bit, and if you know of this artist, then you're probably going to go, well, yeah, that's a killer album front to back. But what I'm doing, I'm hoping to reach more people who don't know of this artist, or maybe don't know that she had a solo career prior to her work in the Tedeschi Trucks band, and that is Susan Tedeschi, Just Won't Burn. This is a blues masterpiece from front to back. If you've heard of Susan but not heard her music, every compliment you've ever heard about her voice probably stems from the first time someone heard this record. Just a stellar piece of blues work all the way across the board. Very common to find. I have here the Analog Productions pressing of it, but I bought that because that was what I saw first on, I think, musicdirect.com maybe, when I went to buy it. So I didn't seek this one out for any particular reason. It's just a 33 cut. But, I mean, the title cut, Mama, He Treats Your Daughter Bad. It Hurts So Bad is one of my favorite blues songs that I've heard in the past 30 years. Kicks right off with Rock Me Right. Just a stellar blues album. If you're into the blues, you probably already know who Susan is. But if you're a Tedeschi Trucks fan and you haven't looked into any of Susan's solo work, this is absolutely a masterpiece from front to back. So Just Won't Burn, Susan Tedeschi. Definitely look into it if you're looking for a killer front to back blues album. Got 2 more to go, and I'm going to do my best to not ramble about both of these records, but I think both of these albums are just killer albums that everybody should at least give a shot. And I think that if you do listen to these albums, you will find that they are front to back killer masterpiece albums. This here is Sturgill Simpson's A Sailor's Guide to Earth. This is one of my favorite complete albums that I've heard of in the past 10 years. If you've never heard Sturgill Simpson's music, you should know that almost every album of his is completely different. This is a very ambitious artist, and this album is almost a mashup of what he made prior to this record and since this album. Let me start by saying this is a concept album. A country, basically, if I was going to file it under something, I would file it under country. A country concept album about having your first child and advice for them, and thus the title Sailor's Guide to Earth. It is country, it's R&B, it's rockabilly, it's straightforward rock, and within country, it's got pop moments, it's got bluegrass moments. I mean, it's just a stellar album. To give you an idea of how far out Sturgill Simpson goes on this record, and how much to expect the unexpected, is there's a bluegrass kind of soul-ish cover of Nirvana's In Bloom on this record with a complete horn section. Speaking of the horns, by the way, the Dap Kings are playing the horns across this whole record. Stellar, in a sea of fantastic songs that Sturgill Simpson has written across several genres in his limited career so far. One of my favorite songs that he's written is on this record, Keep Between the Lines. If you're gonna dip your toe in the water on this and say, you know, I'm not entirely sure, that sounds a little too crazy, maybe if you are on a streaming service, go to a streaming service, bring up this particular version of Keep Between the Lines. He has re-recorded the song, but bring up the version with this cover art. Take a listen to that. If you like that, you're probably going to like a lot more where that came from. And it just a stunningly good album front to back. Sturgill Simpson, Sailor's Guide to Earth. The last one I'm going to bring up is probably the most obscure artist that I have in this particular video. And this guy is local in as much as he's from Ann Arbor, Michigan. But he's global in as much as he's had Snoop Dogg on his records. He's had Kendrick Lamar on the record that I'm going to feature. He even had one of his hits off the album before this, called The Walk, was sampled and made into an entirely different song by a rap artist from the UK, a group called Rizzle Kicks. So local here to Ann Arbor, but global in many respects. And the album that I'm going to feature from him is Mayor Hawthorne's Where Does This Door Go? This album is stunningly good. I'm a big fan of a lot of different things that Mayer Hawthorne has done, but much like Sturgill Simpson, on this one particular record, he really went outside what he had done before. I personally would say the records that came before this were, and again, I don't mean this in a bad way, are what I would call like a classic R&B sound, classic R&B and soul, maybe a very late 60s on through to the mid 70s soul sound. And this record just dips its toe in every type of R&B and soul that I can think of. And I had mentioned earlier the guest spots that he has on the record. Kendrick Lamar does a verse in a song called Crime on this record that is, in my opinion, one of the best verses that Kendrick Lamar has ever recorded. And it's right here in the middle of this Mayer Hawthorne LP. Just a fantastic, fantastic album. Really, really, really good soul music. This is one that I would tell you, if you're going to check this out, probably you could start right with the first track on it. If you go to streaming and find Where Does the Store Go, play the song Backseat Lover. And if you like that, then boy, are you going to like the rest of this record. This is the only one in the set that is, in this video, that is a 2 LP set. And there is zero chance of me getting bored of anything on here. To give you an idea of how much this record is just a masterpiece from start to finish, I've mentioned on the channel before that we have people over every Friday night to spin records. And when this album came out, it was New Release Friday. No one in the room had heard any of the record yet, including myself. I just went to blind buy it based off of liking his previous material. And we played this record, both LPs, straight through, front to back, 3 times in a row, because people in the room kept saying, you know, hey, do you mind? Can we hear that again? Like, that was awesome. So that's how good this record is. And almost every time the album comes out on one of the nights where we have people over to spin records, almost every time it comes out, people go, oh, well, we got to listen to that whole thing. It's just a universally decided thing in the room that we're going to listen to the entirety of Mayer Hawthorne, Where Does the Store Go? Fantastic, fantastic record. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I know that there are a lot of killer front-to-back records that I'm missing. Not missing, but I didn't include in this video because I just like to do these about 5 at a time. And I do want to do future videos based on your feedback. So definitely give me some that you think are just killer albums front to back down in the comment section. I'll do my best to take a listen to them if I haven't heard them already, but they might get included in a future video, which would be great. So always say the same things in these videos. If you haven't yet, please make sure you hit subscribe. If you like what we're doing on the channel and you don't want to subscribe, that's cool. Just maybe give me a thumbs up. That helps as well. But no matter what, I always appreciate all of the interaction and the feedback and the comments, and I definitely appreciate you stopping by to watch. Thanks.